Alright, at this point the last thing that we need to consider before wrapping things up is how to implement a preloader. Now the good thing is that when we set up the movie clip loader object, we had the opportunity now to add a listener to it, and with that listener we will now in fact take advantage of it so that we can see how many bytes are being loaded and exactly what is being loaded. So we'll get to that in just a second. Before we add the listener onto the master FLA, I want you to look at your preloader FLA. And inside of it, there's two guide layers which I've made invisible here. If I fit it in the window, you can see it's just got this movie clip in it. Preloader_MC. That's what it's called. And inside of it, it's got a text field. Here, I'll just zoom into it a bit. So you see there's a little bit of animation in here as well. Not just a little bit, but in fact there's 100 frames of animation. Here is the display txt text field inside this, and the animation, here let me just make this a little bit smaller so you can see what it looks like. That's better. So the animation that we have here is in fact 100 frames long. It's just a little masking effect to hide this little animation behind the scenes. And it's 100 frames long, and as Sherlock Holmes used to say, that's not an accident, it's by design, Watson. And the reason is because we are going to convert our information of loaded bytes, and what we're going to do is convert that into a number between 1 and 100. As that number increases, also 1 and 100%, this will show us exactly where the animation is until we get to 100 full completion. Okay, so with that in place and the SWF made for the preloader FLA, Control Enter, you can make it as well and have it in here. If there's any action script in this particular frame, it actually need not be here, except for stop actions, of course. So let's see what's going on here. I don't think I absolutely do not need any of this information, simply because it's carried over from a previous file which I copy pasted. So now you can see this information does nothing, it doesn't show up as anything, but the SWF has got this information in here. Movie clip called Preloader MC. Inside of it, if you remember, we also have display txt. Good. Now, in the master file, here's what I want you to do. Go to frame number 1, and under Add Listener, I want you to add this particular information. My listener, which is what we called it. Okay, and we are going to associate to my listener an event called onLoad progress. So onLoad progress is going to be equal to function, but this particular callback function is going to have a number of different variables which are built in. First one refers to the movie clip which is going to be loaded, and we'll call that target _MC. Same information format that we use, and a variable here is going to be a number for loaded bytes. As well, we'll need one for total bytes. And we'll close that bracket. So this, inside this particular function, notice open close, just as we normally do. Inside this particular function, we're going to have a couple of things that are going to have happen. Okay, number one, we want to load the SWF that contains the preloader. And what I mean by that is we want to have it visible on a higher level. Now you can use whatever level you want. You can put it on level 999 if you want, level 100, level 10. Doesn't really matter. what I'm going to do is I'll put it on level 100. Okay. Now if it's on level 100, doesn't really matter where it is. We're going to load that in just a second. But first and foremost, what we're going to do is to create a variable. So this particular variable, call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it preload %. Very standard practice here. And we're going to strict data type this as a number. Alright, now we're also going to tell it to give us math.round. Oh, capital M, of course, sorry. Math.round. And what that's going to do, it gives a round number, right? And in this, we're going to say whatever loaded bytes is divided by total bytes. Okay, and we're going to multiply that amount by 100 to give us a nice round even number. That's going to be between 1 and 100. Alright, another thing we're going to do. Remember that movie? On level 50 now. We're going to load it onto level 50, right? Here, by the way, once that object is loaded onto level 50, we will have to make level 50 visible. You'll see what I mean here. Level, well, not 50, we said 100. So level 100, or here, let's say level 10. That's a nice even number. So once on level 10, we're going to say make level 10's visibility. Okay. Is it visibility? No, visible. There you go, underscore visible. And we're going to say make that visibility be equal to true. Okay, that's great. But here, I also want to do something else. When we find something on level 10, and if you remember, the object on level 10 had a movie in it called Preloader underscore MC. Now, Preloader underscore MC, we want to tell this movie to go to and stop. Let's try that again. Escape GS. Go to and stop where? Well, whatever the value of preload % is. So if preload % is worth, let's say 10, it'll be at go to and stop frame 10. If it's 50, go to and stop frame 50, and so on and so forth until we get to 100. Perfect. So that takes care of the animation. What about displaying the text? Let's see this. Go to level 10. Alright, and what are we going to do? Well, inside of it, we said there's something called Preloader MC. Okay. And what else? Well, inside Preloader MC, we know something is called display underscore txt. Right. Then what? Display txt's text is going to be equal to, well, we could put in a string, but here what we want to do is to take advantage of this information again. So we'll say whatever preload %'s value is. So if it's 10, it'll be 10, and so on. But we're also going to concatenate a value for the percentage sign. So add 10 percentage sign, 20 percentage sign, and so on and so forth. So that's going to display the way we want it to.